An all-time record total of almost 21 million fans paid to see Major League Baseball during the 1948 season. In Fenway Park, Boston, 34,000 watched the Cleveland Indians and the Boston Red Sox battle it out in the first postseason pennant playoff in American League history. Keltner's mighty circuit clout in the Cleveland fourth scores Boudreau and Gordon ahead of him, and it's the Indians 4, the Red Sox 1. In the fifth frame, Indian Lou Boudreau rams out a rousing round tripper, his second home run of the game and 18th of the season. With that kind of hitting and the fine pitching of their southpaw hurler Gene Bearden, Cleveland defeats the Boston Red Sox by a final score of 8-3. And so in a brilliant postseason finale, the Cleveland Indians win the American League pennant and their chance to meet the National League's Boston Braves in baseball's annual fall classic, the World Series. Now to Braves Field, Boston, for the final phase of baseball's greatest year. This is the first World Series ever played between the Indians and the Braves. Each team has made one previous series appearance. In 1920, Cleveland won the World Championship from the Brooklyn Dodgers, and the Braves defeated the Philadelphia Athletics in 1914. But that's all past history. The great throng that crowds Braves Field today is more interested in what the Indians and the Braves can do in 1948. Among the spectators are Boston Red Sox manager Joe McCarthy and treasurer and general manager Joe Cronin. Roy Mack, son of baseball's beloved Connie Mack. The Boston Braves manager Billy Southworth gets last-minute best wishes from Mrs. Southworth. Lou Boudreau, the playing manager of the Cleveland Indians, salutes his wife. And then Southworth and Boudreau exchange greetings. Umpires, managers, and coaches go over the ground rules. Cleveland is pinning its opening game hopes on the rapid right arm of veteran hurler Bob Feller. Against him on the mound will be another right-hander and seasoned veteran, the Boston Braves' big Johnny Sain, with 24 wins during the past season. Baseball's commissioner, Albert Chandler, gives the honor of making the traditional first pitch to former Secretary of State James F. Burns. And the 1948 World Series is officially underway. The game is a scoreless tie going into the Braves' fifth. Left fielder Rickard rifles a sharp single into right for Boston's first hit of the game. Catcher Sawkell sacrifices Rickard to second, but he's left stranded there. Boston's Earl Torgeson opens the bottom of the seventh with a grounder on which Robinson makes a brilliant gloved hand catch and retires Torgeson with the toss to Feller. In the Braves' eighth, Feller walks Bill Sawkell. Phil Macy is sent in to run for him. Center fielder Mike McCormick rolls a sacrifice bunt down the first base line. Macy takes second. The excitement of the inning intensifies when Feller purposely passes Boston second baseman Eddie Stanky. Cleveland tries their famous pickoff play. Macy is called safe at second. With 2 out and men on first and second, Tommy Holmes drills an outside pitch past third base, and Macy scores for Boston with the first run of the 1948 World Series. After one away in the Cleveland ninth, Joe Gordon pops up a high foul on which shortstop Dark makes a catch. That's 2 down, and the Braves' big Johnny Sane is only 1 out away from a World Series shutout triumph. Keltner laces a high bounder to Elliott, whose wild throw to first bounces into the stands, and Keltner moves to second on the error. The Tribe is back in the ball game with the tying run on second and Walt Judnick up. After Judnick misses 2 curveballs, Sane prepares for the most crucial pitch of his career. There it is. Judnick watches a perfect strike go by. And Johnny Sane wins the first 1-0 World Series shutout seen in a quarter of a century. Sane's strong right arm and Tommy Holmes' ringing bat have combined to bring home victory for Boston, and the crowd roars its approval. To turn the trick, Johnny Sane practically throttled Cleveland's big bats, struck out 6 men, allowed no walks, and only 4 hits. And Tommy Holmes slammed his way into Boston's heart and its Hall of Fame with one decisive smash to left field. Rapid Robert Feller hurled the 10th 2-hit masterpiece in World Series history and lost. A heartbreaking defeat that makes him the second pitcher ever to lose a Series 2-hitter. There'll be a big time in Beantown tonight as Boston celebrates the Braves' first World Series victory in 34 years. The next day, another capacity crowd jams Braves Field to see if the Boston Nationals can increase their 1-game lead before the series moves on to Cleveland. Southpaw Warren Spahn warms up before opening on the mound for Boston in this second game. Cleveland is counting on the strong right arm of Bob Lemon to even up the series. With 2 away in the Cleveland first, Woodrow bounces a slow dribbler past the mound. Elliott's pickup and throw are a split second too quick for Lou. That kind of scintillating infield play is worth a second look in anybody's ball game. In the Boston half of the same frame, after 1 out, Dark bangs Lemon's first pitch to Gordon, who fumbles the grounder, and Dark is safe at first on the error. Torgerson steps up and lines a sharp single to right. Dark scurries around to third, and pitcher Lemon's in trouble. Then Elliott slams one over Boudreau's head for a single, and Dark scores the first run of the ball game. A lightning throw from pitcher Lemon picks off Torgerson at second. In the Cleveland second, with 2 away, Larry Doby lashes a hit to center, and with a terrific burst of speed, stretches it into a double for the first extra base blow of the series. Going into the fourth, the Tribe is still looking for their first run of the series, when Boudreau lines a double just inside the right field corner. Right behind him, Gordon loops a safety to left that scores Boudreau and ties up the ball game at 1-all. Gordon takes second on the throw to the plate. After 1 out, Doby slashes a hot grounder into right, and Gordon comes across the plate with the tally that puts the Tribe out in front, 2-1. Opening the Indians' fifth, Mitchell lams a single over Dark's head into left center. Outfielder Clark follows with a sacrifice that puts Mitchell on second. Boudreau, the third man up, smashes a single through Spahn's legs and Mitchell tallies. That's all for Boston southpaw Warren Spahn. Charlie Red Barrett replaces him on the mound and closes out the inning with the score standing 3-1 for Cleveland. After Doby fans to open the Indians' sixth, Robinson connects with a hit into center. Right behind him, Hegan explodes a long drive to deep right. Holmes makes a beautiful gloved hand catch, and his throw to Torgerson retires Robinson for the first double play of the series. In the eighth inning, Boston right-hander Nelson Potter starts on the mound in place of Red Barrett. Ken Keltner taps a roller on which shortstop Dart races over and makes a fast play to retire Keltner at first. Earl Torgerson opens the Braves' eighth with a single to center. Then Bob Elliott hits into a lightning-fast double play. The Tribe infield is really clicking with the type of razzle-dazzle that merits another look. There's Torgerson forced at second, and Elliott out at first when Robinson digs Boudreau's throw out of the dirt. The Tribe's out in front 3-1 going into the top half of the ninth, when with 2 out and Jim Hegan on third, Kennedy drops a Texas leaguer into short center field, and Hegan crosses the plate with the run that makes it Cleveland 4, Boston 1. After 2 out in the Braves' ninth, Eddie Stanky starts a last-chance rally with a hard-driven double over Boudreau's head into left center. Ray Sanders, pinch hitting for Potter, follows with a tap to pitcher Lemon, who throws him out at first. That ends the ball game and evens the series at 1-all. Cleveland's 4-1 victory is a fine scalp for Bob Lemon, who limited Boston to 8 well-scattered hits and 1 unearned run. The Braves' defeat is charged against Warren Spahn, who gave up 6 hits and 3 runs in 4 1/3 innings. And now the Diamond's great classic moves to the Tribe's gigantic home wigwam for its most important phase. 3 weekend games in Cleveland's mammoth municipal stadium, which already holds all Major League Baseball attendance records for regular season play. Total attendance here for the 1948 season was a fantastic 2,600,000 fans. In this third game, the Braves are starting pitcher Vern Bickford, 28-year-old right-hander. The Indians are sending to the mound hurler lefty Gene Bearden. His 1-loss record for the season is 20-7, including that choice plum that he picked in Fenway Park, his victory in the American League pennant playoff. In the Cleveland third, with 1 away, pitcher Bearden slugs the horsehide for a mighty ride over Holmes's head into deep right, where it bounces off the fence. It's a 2-base hit for Gene. After Bickford walks Mitchell, Doby grounds to Stanky, whose throw to Dart forces Mitchell. On Dart's wild relay to first, Doby takes second, and Bearden scores for the Tribe. Take another look at that play. Watch the runner go for the shortstop to explode a possible double play, as Bearden's tally puts the Indians ahead 1-0. After Keltner's on first with a walk and 1 out in Cleveland's fourth, Robinson drives Bickford's first pitch for a base hit. Keltner stops at second. Hegan also hits the first pitch for a line single to center that sends Robinson to second and scores Keltner. The Indians lead 2-0. Bearden bangs another first pitch for a safety to left, but Robinson holds up at third, and the bases are loaded. The Tribe's on the warpath. Bickford leaves the mound. Big Bill Voiselle replaces him, puts out the fire, and all three men are left on base. Cleveland is still ahead 2-0 in the Braves' sixth. With two away, when Dart plasters the leather against the left field wall for a rousing double. On Mike McCormick's fly to short center, Gordon grabs the ball on the run just before it drops between Boudreau, Doby, and himself. That ends the Boston sixth. With two away in the Boston ninth, Mike McCormick's pop fly to Boudreau ends the ball game. The Tribe blanks the Braves 2-0 and takes a 2-1 lead in the series. The shutout is a triumphant encore performance for the Indians' pennant playoff hero, Gene Bearden. Almost 82,000 fans gather in the Indians' big teepee for game number 4. It's the biggest crowd in World Series history. Warming up for the Braves is their ace right-hander, Johnny Sain, the man with the curves, and victorious pitcher of Boston's only win of the series so far. Opposing him will be Cleveland's right-handed hurler, Steve Gromek. After 2 out in the Braves' first, Torgeson's terrific smash to the center field fence looks like a sure triple. But Torgeson stumbles and retreats to second. It's a double and the first hit of the game, but he fails to score. Mitchell whistles a safety through the center of the diamond to open the Cleveland first. Doby smacks one to Torgeson, who tosses to Sain to force Doby at first. Mitchell takes second. That putout merits another look in stop motion. How's that for a close one? When Boudreau smashes the ball hard and far inside the first baseline, Mitchell scores for Cleveland with the game's first run. Boudreau tries to stretch his double into a triple, and he's out at third. That's a mighty close one, too. Here's how it looks in stop motion. The Braves are behind 1-0 in the third when Stanky rams a hit to center. Doby's fast fielding prevents a possible double. Sain sacrifices Stanky to second, but the Braves don't score in the inning. In the lower half of the third frame, with 2 away and nobody on, Indian Doby rockets Sain's high, fast pitch for a trip to Mars. A lethal wallop more than 400 feet into the right field crowd. Doby's round trip is the first home run of the series. Now the Tribe leads 2-0. There are 2 out in the Boston fourth when Rickert punches a base hit to center. On Mike McCormick's grounder, Boudreau makes a fine stop and flips to Gordon to retire the side. With Boston still on the short end of a 2-0 score going into the seventh, Rickert hammers a homer 400 feet into the right field stand. It's Boston's initial round tripper of the series. Rickert's tally makes it Boston 1, Cleveland 2. In the Braves' eighth, after 2 outs, Torgeson hits a looping double past Keltner. And the Braves' tying run is on second. Then Elliott pops up a high one, and catcher Hegan holds onto it as he collides with Keltner. That ends the inning and the Braves' threat. Boston still trails 2-1 going into the ninth. Rickert, the first man up, watches a sharp-breaking curve go by for a call, third strike. The next man, Mike McCormick, travels the same road as Indian hurler Gromek really bears down. The third man up, Sawkeld, batting for Macy, then rifles a game-ending line drive into Kennedy's hand. And Gromek's got him 1-2-3 in a brilliant finale. Gromek's stout heart and strong right arm combined to prove him the better man in a nerve-tearing pitcher's duel with Johnny Sane, who won the first series game for Boston. Final score of game number 4, Cleveland 2, Boston 1, and the Indians lead 3-1 in the series. Sunday, October the 10th, 1948, goes into baseball's record book as the biggest day in the history of our national game. 86,288 paid fans overflow Cleveland's gigantic municipal stadium, the largest crowd ever assembled for any baseball contest anywhere, anytime. On hand for the game are Ford Frick, president of the National League, Hank Greenberg, vice president of the Cleveland Indians, and their dynamic, promotional-minded president, Bill Veeck. The American League president, William Harridge, gives best wishes for success to Lou Boudreau. Boston's right-hander, Nelson Potter, warms up, fully aware that the Braves have to win this fifth game to stay in the series. Cleveland's hurler, Bob Feller, who lost a two-hitter in the first game, hopes to crush the bitter memory of that defeat with a series-ending victory today. The moments before game time are taut with immense anticipation as the band parades for the flag-raising ceremony. The tremendous throng rises and stands united in common allegiance to a mighty republic and its great national game. But in just a few moments, the crowd will be divided again by league loyalties and team partisanship when the call comes to play ball. Holmes starts off the fifth game with a bang for Boston as he rams a single to right. Dark dribbles a slow roller to Keltner for an infield single, and Holmes takes second. After one away, Bob Elliott gets hold of Feller's fastball and lays the wood on the horse side for a rousing slam beyond the right center field fence, 365 feet away. The wallop scores Holmes and Dark ahead of Elliott, and the Braves lead 3-0. In the Indians' first, leadoff man Dale Mitchell connects with Potter's second pitch and rifles a round-trip blow into the right field crowd. The series of silent bats is breaking into a rash of booming bats as the big sticks begin to speak. Mitchell's tally makes it Cleveland 1, Boston 3. With two away and nobody on in the Boston third, Elliott explodes Feller's curveball pitch to slug a line smash 350 feet into the lower left field stand. That's 2 home runs for Elliott in 2 times at bat. His four-bagger makes it Boston 4, Cleveland 1. That score still stands going into the lower half of the fourth frame when Indian Gordon drills a safety to left. After Keltner walks, Judnick loops a handle hit over second past Dark's lunge. And Gordon scores from second as Keltner races to third. After one out, Hegan drives a 375-foot blast into the lower left field stand. It scores Keltner and Judnick ahead of him. And Hegan comes home with the run that puts the Tribe out in front, 5-4. Hegan's homer is the end of the trail for Boston's pitcher, Nelson Potter. Southpaw hurler Warren Spahn takes over on the mound and closes out the fourth with no further score. What a ball game. With one away in the Braves' sixth, Salkeld hammers a homer that just clears the right field fence and ties up the score at 5-all. Then Mike McCormick scorches a sizzler to Boudreau, who makes a dazzling stop and a fine throw in time for the out. The 5-5 tie still holds going into the Boston seventh, which Holmes opens with a single to left center. Dark lays a sacrifice bunt down the first baseline that sends Holmes to second. Up comes Torgerson, who drills a safety over second. That scores Holmes with the run that puts the Braves ahead 6-5 and drives Bob Feller from the box. These Braves are on the warpath and are just too much for Rapid Robert. Indian relief hurler Ed Kleiman replaces him. Kleiman promptly walks Bob Elliott, the first Brave, to face him. Then Rickert rams a grounder past Gordon into center that scores Torgerson. Doby's throw to third gets by Keltner, allowing Elliott to score and Rickert to go to third. That play at third certainly warrants another good look in stop motion. The Braves lead 8-5 with one away when Salkeld walks. And that's all for Indian pitcher Ed Kleiman. Another right-handed relief hurler, Russ Christopher, comes to the mound. Mike McCormick raps out a single that scores Rickert, while Salkeld takes third. Then Stanky bloops an outside pitch into right for a single that tallies Salkeld and sends Mike McCormick to third. It's Boston 10, Cleveland 5. Out goes Russ Christopher, and in comes Cleveland's ageless Satchel Paige to mount the mound for the Tribe. Then Spahn punches a high fly to Doby in deep center. Mike McCormick scores easily after the catch. Boston 11, Cleveland 5. That ends the Braves scoring in a tremendous 6-run inning that staggers Cleveland. To open the Tribe's 8th, Boudreau doubles to the center field fence for the first hit off a Spahn. But there's no score in the inning. After 2 away in the last half of the ninth, Indian Joe Tipton, batting for pitcher Moncrief, strikes out to end the ball game. The winning hurler, Boston southpaw Warren Spahn, who allowed only 1 hit and no runs in 5 2/3 innings, is escorted triumphantly from the diamond. More than 86,000 fans watched the Braves pounce on loser Feller for 7 runs in 6 1/3 innings and saw them rout the Indians with a 6-run 7th inning and an 11-5 victory. That cuts the Tribe's lead to 3-2 as the series returns to Boston for the crucial 6th game. Back at Braves Field, another capacity crowd gathers to see if Boston can even up the series today. Right-hander Bob Lemon, who hurled the Tribe's first win of the series here in Boston, will open on the mound for Cleveland. Starting against him will be the Braves' big right-hander, Bill Voiselle. It's a scoreless tie going into the Cleveland third. Mitchell laces a two-base hit down the left field line. Woodrow punches a drive to right. Holmes fails to hold the ball, and Woodrow gets a double that scores Mitchell with the first run of the ball game. Stanky opens the Boston third with a walk, and Voiselle sacrifices him to second. Holmes rifles a low line single to left, but Mitchell's fast fielding and good throw to the plate holds Stanky at third. Then Dart bangs into a double play that ends the inning. Cleveland leads 1-0. In the Braves' fourth, after one out, Elliott tops a slow roller down the third baseline for a single. After Rickert flies out and Salkeld walks, Mike McCormick hammers a safety to center that sends Salkeld to second and scores Elliott with the tally that ties up the ball game. It's 1-1 going into the sixth, which Joe Gordon starts off with a mighty wallop over the left field wall. Gordon's four-bagger breaks the tie, and the Tribe goes out in front 2-1. After one away and Tucker's on first with a walk, Robinson lines a single to right, on which Tucker takes third. Higgins bounced to Elliott, forces Robinson at second, but Stanky's high throw to first gets away from Torgerson, and Tucker tallies. Score Indians 3, Braves 1. With one out in the Braves' half of the seventh, on Stanky's grounder, Keltner comes racing in to make the stop, and a fine throw that beats Stanky to first. Going into the eighth, Cleveland still leads 3-1. Warren Spahn, yesterday's winning pitcher, starts on the mound in place of Voiselle. Joe Gordon opens the frame with a smashing drive to Rickert, who makes a beautiful diving catch for his 20th put out of the series, which ties the existing record for 6 series games. Next in line, Keltner slices a single off of Spahn's glove. Then Tucker shoots a single to right, and Keltner holds up at second. Robinson punches a base hit over Torgerson's head. As Tucker takes third, Keltner scores, and the Indians take a 4-1 lead. Then Higgins strikes out to make it 2 away. Robinson is caught off first. Tucker tries to sneak home and is trapped in a rundown play that ends the Indians' half of the inning. Opening the Braves' eighth, Holmes rams Lemon's first pitch into center for a single. After Dart flies out, Torgerson blasts a two-base hit to the right field corner. Holmes holds up at third. Then Lemon walks Elliott. The bases are loaded. And that walk sends Lemon to the showers. Lefty Gene Bearden, shutout victor of the third game, comes in to hurl for the Indians. Clint Conitzer, pinch hitting for Rickert, cracks a long fly to Tucker in center. Holmes scores easily after the catch, and Torgerson takes third. Then Phil Macy, batting for Salkeld, doubles off the left field wall. Torgerson scores, while Elliott takes third, and the Braves trail by only 1 run. Then Mike McCormick bounces to Bearden, who throws him out to end the inning. The score, Cleveland 4, the Braves 3. Spahn strikes out Bearden to open the Cleveland ninth. Then Kennedy goes down swinging. After more of the same treatment, Doby fans. And Spahn has retired the side on strikes to conclude a near-perfect performance of precision pitching in the inning. In the Braves' half of the ninth frame, Stanky leads off with a base on balls, his third walk of the game, and his seventh in the series. Connie Ryan will run for him. Sibby Sisti, batting for Spahn, tries to sacrifice, but Hegan grabs his low pop bunt and doubles Ryan at first. Then Holmes hammers out a long fly, which Kennedy pulls down near the left field wall. And the 1948 World Series is all over. The Cleveland Indians win a 4-3 triumph over the Boston Braves in the final game to take the series 4-2. It's the Tribe's second world title. They won the first one in 1920. Every man on the team shares credit for the crown, but some among them were outstanding. Manager and shortstop Lou Boudreau excelled in every phase of play, and particularly as a master field general. Lefty Gene Bearden, hero of this pitcher series, sparked the Tribe to triumph in the Classic as he did in the American League pennant race. Hurler Bob Lemon faced the Braves twice and won both games. Outfielder Larry Doby was Cleveland's top hitter among the regulars in the series and performed excellently on defense. The Braves had their stars, too. Pitcher Johnny Sain's first game victory forced the Indians to come from behind to win. Pitcher Warren Spahn won the fifth game for Boston before the biggest crowd in baseball history. First baseman Earl Torgeson was the Braves' leading hitter and played his important position faultlessly. Third baseman Bob Elliott was the Braves' next best hitter and hit 2 consecutive home runs in the fifth game. The Tribe commences their first series victory celebration in 28 years, and theirs was no easy triumph. They had to win their pennant the hard way in the first postseason playoff in American League history. In the series, they came from behind to win 3 in a row, and then blew a spectacular opportunity to end the series on their home diamond before baseball's all-time record crowd. They had to return to Boston to close out the series 4-2 and bring to an end another year of our great national game. The jubilant Tribe claims they'll repeat in 49. Who can tell? Nobody knows. But you can be sure of this. We'll be back again next year with the motion picture story of baseball's fall spectacle, the World Series.
In Boston draws thousands of eager fans for the opening game of the World Series. Connie Mack, baseball's grand old man, is present. Joe Louis, the heavyweight champ, is there, as is Mrs. Grace Coolidge. Keeping a watchful eye on the proceedings is Commissioner Happy Chandler. And just for the fun of it, we get a new slant on the old pastime. Do you suppose you could call this an upside-down screwball? Manager Billy Southworth of Boston and Lou Boudreau of Cleveland are set, and Jeff Heath, with his broken ankle, sits it out. Boudreau gets a good luck token from his missus, and the world of baseball eagerly awaits the result. Over 40,000 fans get ready to yell themselves hoarse, and it's play ball! And it's a pitcher's battle right from the start. Johnny Sain, 24-game winner of the Braves, seems to have the Indian sign on the vaunted Cleveland big guns. but the fans see some near-perfect pitching from Bob Feller, the Indians' great hurling star, pitching his first World Series game. Rapid Robert has a slight edge over Sane in the number of hits given up as the game goes on, and the tension mounts. No score so far in the 8th, when Feller gives up his second walk of the game to Bill Salkeld to start off Boston's half of the inning. And getting Salkeld to first may be just the break needed to bust the game wide open. Boston partisans are even more delirious when Mike McCormick lays down a bunt. On the sacrifice, Bill Macy, running for Salkeld, advances to second base. With 2 out and the count 1-1 on Holmes, Tommy gets his bat on one, a line single into left field, and here comes Macy around third on his way for home. It's only 1 run, but it's enough. 1 more than the Indians can put across. To clinch the 1-run margin, Sane strikes out Judnick in the 9th, and it's all over but the tumult and the shouting. Johnny is mobbed by enthusiastic teammates. He won the first 1-0 series game in 25 years. Boston will long remember this one. Next day at Braves Field, again the jam-packed crowds, again the excitement and tension of America's great sport as the second game begins. This one starts off with a bang. Bob Lemon on the mound for Cleveland. With 1 away, Alvin Dark hits a grounder that's fumbled by Gordon, and Dark reaches first safely. Earl Torgerson, Braves first baseman, is next up and proceeds to smash a clean single to right. That's the signal for Mr. Dark to light off in the direction of third, and he makes it, which brings up Bob Elliott at the plate. It's a single for Elliott, and here comes Dark home with the first run of the game. Looks like a real threat with only 1 man out, but the Indians are on the warpath. Lemon to Boudreau is the pickoff combination, and Torgerson is out. Scratch 1 threat. Warren Spahn kept out of trouble for 3 innings, but in the 4th, trouble. Boudreau opens the inning with a double. Cleveland's dynamic young player manager again provides the spark when his team needs it most. The tying run is now on second, and that brings up the veteran Joe Gordon. A hit, Gordon singles, and here comes Boudreau racing for third, and he's waved home. In ahead of the peg from the left field, with Gordon going to second on the throw-in. It's all even with Larry Doby up. Spahn winds up, pitches, and here it comes, and Doby, whammo! That's all for Spahn, and that's your ball game. Gordon comes home, and the Indians add 2 more to make it 4-1 victory. We're back at Braves Field in Boston for the 6th game of the World Series. Yes, and the umpires are back on the job, too. It's the land of free speech and baseball and World Series excitement. 40,000 fans, predominantly Braves fans, count on pitcher Bill Boiselle to keep Boston in the race for the series. Cleveland's Bob Lemon, winner of the second game, is on the mound. And today's game may tell the story. With 1 on in the 3rd, Boudreau takes aim. It's a sharp fly inside the right field line that Boston can't handle. Mitchell starts home with the first run of the game, and 1 run can be awfully big in this series, which the Indians lead 3 games to 2. In the 4th, the Braves' Mike McCormick steps up. Right down the middle, and here comes Bob Elliott, whose 2 homers aided Boston in its whopping 11-5 victory in the 5th game at Cleveland. Local boosters find cause for hope in a 1-1 ball game. But in the 6th, Joe Gordon is on the warpath. Gone over the left field wall. A circuit count for Cleveland's Flash Gordon. And he makes a leisurely tour of the bases, putting the Tribe ahead a second time in this series classic that brought new records in crowds, gate receipts, and thrills, and perhaps the beginning of the end. Still the 6th, Thurman Tucker on third, and at the plate, Jim Hegan. It's a boundary to Elliott, but in Boston's try for a double play, Tucker scores when the ball is dropped. In the 8th, with Spahn pitching for the Braves, Robinson lines a single to right field, and coming home with the Indians' 4th run of the game is Ken Keltner. Boston hopes sag to a new low ebb.
Here's a neat Boston double play with Tucker caught between third and home. Bill Salkeld writes finish to the act during a slam-bang encounter. And it retires the side, and the score 4-1 for Cleveland. The Braves 8. The bases loaded. Elliott, Torgerson, and Holmes, and only one man out. You could hear a bean drop in Boston. That's all for Lemon. He's through, squeezed out. Gene Bearden, hero of the third game, takes up the cudgels for the Tribe. Clint Knatzer is up. That brings them to their feet. Knatzer's long fly to center produces a bit of speed in Tommy Holmes and a run for Boston. Now it's a 4-2 ball game, and another pinch hitter comes up. Phil Mazie, and the Braves aren't through yet. They keep coming back. And Torgerson heads for the payoff plate. After the fifth game, can you blame the Boston fans if they see another 6-run inning coming up? Then comes the fateful ninth, with Bearden nursing that one-run lead. The hush descends on Braves Field. Sisty's attempted sacrifice backfires. Hegan grabs it, takes to first, and Stanky is out on a double play. 2 down, 1 to go. Tommy Holmes up. It's a long fly ball to Kennedy, who snags it backed up against the left field wall. That's all. It's all over. But the congratulations between Boudreau and Bearden and the Cleveland Indians. They win the series 4-2, their first series victory since 1920. The American League champs give vent to their feelings, and who can blame them? They won a great series. They beat a great National League team. Billy Southworth congratulates Lou Boudreau, and joining in the celebration is the Indians' owner, Bill Beck. And so another World Series goes down in the record books, and plenty wampum makes happy warriors smile. The smile of victory.